Egypt's Giza Great Pyramid exposed after a tiny robot explores the Queen's Chamber mystery shaft. This is not the only shaft that's in there. We recently found a shaft going all the way down underneath the pyramid, and they claim that they found a granite tomb that was immersed in a lake, and that this granite tomb supposedly would be able to open only by an ancient DNA lock. No matter how often, how much we examine the Giza pyramids, they're full of enigmas. They even have the dimensions of the whole world. So the ancients who constructed this, supposedly from its alignment that was 10,500 years BC, according to the 3 Great Pyramids of Giza, which are aligned to the stars of the Orion belt, the Orion constellation of the way it was aligned 10,500 BC. These pyramids must have been built over 12,500 years ago. The same situation with another pyramid complex found in China, which has 3 stars aligned again to the Orion belt stars, and has the same orientation as the pyramid plateau of Giza. So does that mean that the ancients who built the Giza pyramids had a connection with the ancients that built the China pyramids? Yes, China has pyramids. And also the constellations have been used to establish cities in the Peloponnese of ancient Greece. And those cities are still there today. So what is with these constellations and establishing these great structures in cities that are mirroring what's above us in the skies? But anyway, no matter how often, how much you examine, you never stop. Now this is the latest, having to do with the Giza pyramid, the Khufu pyramid, and the robot, the tiny robot placed in the shaft going into the Queen's Chamber air vent. The Great Pyramid of Giza, exposed after this tiny robot was placed into the air shafts of the structure, and it made a discovery which adds another dimension to the story. It's a team led by the Britain's Getty mission, used state-of-the-art robotics and technology. It was designed for this specific opening, and it's designed for space exploration. And it took a look behind this famous Ganton brick door. It was first spotted in 1993, a stone slab hiding 65 meters up an air shaft behind the Queen's Chamber, and it was drilled through under orders from the famous Egyptologist that we know of, Zahi Hawass. And it revealed nothing during the live TV broadcast, but now, 30 years later, experts made a reveal, a breakthrough discovery, according to historian Matthew Simpson. He said basically a few years ago, a robot went into the Great Pyramid and found a door behind an air shaft in the Queen's Chamber. Then a few years later, Zahi Hawass sent another robot in, drilled a hole through it, and they did not find anything behind it. But the whole thing kind of went under the radar. But the Getty robot went back up the air shaft and they found some red writing. So why would they have writing in a tiny shaft? I mean, you could hardly put your hand through it. They said these red marks, no one knows what they are, but they discovered them at the end of the chamber, so it adds another dimension to the story, obviously. Now, the images sent back to the team showed never before seen red hieroglyphs, red, not blue, not black, not yellow, but red, which they believe could possibly be gang marks by the workers who built these pyramids. And if they would understand them, it could help them explain more about this huge structure and its construction. Simpson will be releasing the robot the dentist and the pyramid. This is, of course, the title of his video on his YouTube channel, Ancient Artifacts, in a few days, February 19. It will be a 45-minute documentary. It will be directed by William Westaway, and it follows a team of the specialists and the archaeologists, the Egyptologists, and the robotics experts as they explore the mysteries of this air shaft. Simpson said the documentary will show exactly what happened. It shows the team, what they did, and how they did it. He says, I've got a 45-minute documentary, and I've also got 9 hours of the raw footage of it going up the shaft, which can be a research tool for anyone with a professional or passion can observe it, and if there's anything they missed. Getty, the robot, the tiny robot, was the brainchild of Hong Kong dentist Dr. Che Chuen, cc.jpg, who had already designed precision tools for space exploration, so they used it here in the Great Pyramid. Dr. Ng, I don't know how to pronounce that, assembled the team with his friend Sean Whitehead, who he had made whilst working on a Mars lander project, and they came up with this, the little tiny robot for the Great Pyramid. He said for the trailer for the film, we know very little about the pyramids, and that's a wonderful thing. You know, the Great Pyramid has been there for 4,500 years, but nobody truly knows why it was built or how it was built. Nobody knows what remains inside to be discovered. Okay, well, it may be a lot older than 4,500 years. It may have been built around the time or before the time of the Younger Dryas, which took place about 13,000 years ago. They also claim that we could have had a comet strike around then. But anyway, the alignment of the three pyramids and the plateau of the Giza pyramids aligns with stars on the Orion belt, the constellation Orion, the way it was over Egypt at that time, 10,500 years BC, over 12,500 years ago. So why would they build it like that if it wasn't built at the time the constellation was over Egypt, exactly like that, in that that alignment? So now, along with this new documentary, which will be coming out on Simpson's YouTube channel in 3 or 4 days, the 9 hours of raw footage will also be available for the first time on his channel as well. So that's going to be very interesting. This is his channel, as we said before, is called Ancient Architects, and he has a lot of good, very interesting articles on archaeology as well on his channel. I've seen a few of them. Although I don't agree with the fact that the Great Pyramid is 4,500 years old because of the alignment with the Orion constellation belt. And also, that was not the only one. It's also, as we said, the pyramids of China, which are in pristine condition, have the same exact layout as the Giza Plateau and the alignment with the Orion belt, Orion constellation, as it was over Egypt 10,500 years BC. So, anyone that's interested could look at that in a couple of days. This is on Express UK by Callum Hoare. Now, as to who built them, well, we know from the emerald tablets written by Thor the Atlantean that the Atlanteans had tremendously advanced technology. He claims that he had a spaceship, that he buried it under a sphinx in a plateau of pyramids. This is not the only plateau of pyramids in Egypt. We also have Saqqara and other areas, but I don't know if they have a sphinx in Saqqara. This here, the Giza Plateau, is the most well preserved, obviously, of Egypt. There may be others, we don't know, but according to Thoth, the Hermes Trismegistus, they were the ones who built these pyramids, and not only here, but also in other areas of the world after Atlanteans escaped the Atlantis destruction, when that happened before the deluge and the great flood of the Old Testament. So obviously this could be from that time, over 12,500 years ago, before the flood. Atlantean advanced technology, obviously in order for them to build the dimensions of the Earth in a pyramid, they must have known the circumference and the dimensions of the Earth, obviously. How would they know that unless they had flight and space travel? So more questions to be raised, as we can see. This is fascinating stuff. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.